Okay, this is Kean University for October, Piano 2. And you have a test on the 13th and the 16th, which will include 122 and 123 in the Central Repertoire book, which is the Bartok, and in this book, page 151, and all scales C, D, E, F, G, and A. C through A, scales, arpeggios, and so on. Now, I want you to begin simple gifts. You have simple gifts, you have a sheet of simple gifts. We're not going to be doing it this week or next week, but right after the test, we're going to be beginning it. It's for the final. It's one of the final pieces. So there's going to be 4 things on the final we'll tell you about at the end of October. But in the meantime, begin simple gifts. So first I'm going to play page 151, which is the march. Now, I need you to very much not just play the notes. I don't want that. What I want is, now I know some of you have keyboards that can't do this, and I appreciate that, and I see, it's impossible. But if you have a touch-sensitive keyboard, a weighted keyboard, you're going to play ba-yup, up, 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 ba-yup, up, ba-yup, up, up, ba-da, up. Slurs that I've mentioned to you, where you connect 2 notes. So either staccato or legato. Actually, slurs are legato by nature. And the left hand is just C, F, G7, and C. So there's only 3 chords in the left hand. C major, F major. Make sure you're using these fingerings. See the outline of the chord. For example, these 4 notes represent the whole first measure. In the second measure, these notes all represent an F chord. Then there's a scale. Then you see a G chord. That's an outline of a G chord. So start thinking chordally as well as melodically. So here's the way this sounds. Notice there's an accent. Da, 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 da. The next part. Now, crescendo. Now you have to move very quickly from this. Get this left hand in position to C and E, C and G. And get this into position for E and C. So you're playing a C chord. So this is measure 8. So never get your fingers too far away like this. And then try to find it. You get there quicker. You can play it slower. Not much slower than that. This isn't that hard. But you should have a semblance of the articulation, the slurs, the staccato, the accents, and the dynamics. So this is easy dynamically. It's all MF, mezzo forte. It changes to forte at measure 9 after you've made that big crescendo. So here's measure 7. You want to land on a big chord at that point. So that's page 51. That's for the test. Now let me play through what's coming up right after the test, and also do this week as well. I had mentioned to you 151 and 152. So let's do 152. 152 is very cinchy. The left hand plays, don't forget, it's in treble clef, so that first note's middle C, not E down here. That happens all the time. So C. So. Got the idea? So the left hand is 1, 2, and G. not much more. Now, the first line when I play it now will be soft, the second line will be loud, and I'm going to connect them. Now forte. Another Gurlitt, Gurlitt, a composer, the composer Gurlitt. He wrote a lot of these exercises for students. Another guy who really wrote, who's famous, is the next guy, Carl Czerny. Czerny was a very, very famous composer of exercises and music, but mostly he's known for his exercises. So, in the left hand, you have a C chord, a G chord, and this D, F, G, G7 chord. Also treble clef. That's all there is. The next to the last measure is that G7, G, B, F. This is the next to the last measure, which resolves. Okay? So this sounds like this. Sorry, I'm on the wrong one. We're going to do the dance on page 152. You don't have to do repeats when you play for me, but when you practice, just do it over and over and over again. So it's pretty simple. Czerny wrote one, and I was playing that one. So, now, look at page 153. We've never gone over this. Page 153. Dotted rhythm. The left hand plays a nice smooth. So it's G chord, F sharp, C, D, which is a little fake abbreviated D7 chord without the A. And the right hand has this beautiful melody. Sounds almost like a pop piece. Very, very simple. You could do that without any help whatsoever. The bottom of page 153, the Allegro, key of E flat. This is probably the first time you're playing in E flat. And we haven't done E flat scales. I think you did last year though. The E flat scale, 3 flats, B, E, and A. So the left hand is E flat chord, D, A flat, B flat. And that's it. Just like when it's all the same. All the same. And the right hand has a little simple 5-note melody. So here's the way this sounds. That's fine, but we continue. Then it says DC al fine. DC, of course, means go to the top. Da capo means the head, the top. Al until, and fine until you hit fine. So when you finish the last measure, you go back to the beginning, and you end at measure 4 at fine. Okay? Pretty easy. That's not hard at all. 53. Then after that, on October 20th, we'll be going to page 163. You can get ahead. Now, there are at least 2 people who are actually doing this already. They've done so well that I've advanced them up to these points. So this is page 163, the study on the whole 163. I'm sorry. I wrote bottom, but it's actually all. It's all of 163. So, left hand F major, B flat major, C7, F. 1, 4, 5s. F, A, C, B flat, F, this is going to be interesting. You're not expecting this. That B flat chord in the third measure is going to have a flat 7 in the right hand. Very bluesy. You know when you flat the 7 in the scale. There's your blues chord. Flatted thirds, flatted fifths, flatted sevenths give you a jazz feel. So this is going to sound rather bluesy. 5. All right, if you want to, you can do that. Study on the bottom, the Bayer. The study, it's simply very, very easy. I do want to point out that in the next to the last measure, you have C, F, A. I'm on page 163, the bottom, study, the Bayer. And then there's a chord that looks like this. Some of you may have studied that. It's called a sus4, a suspended 4. When you have a C chord, and you lift the third out, but you substitute the fourth, it always resolves like an amen cadence. So you have a bunch of chords. And in pop music, you hear it all the time. Those are all suspensions, and you can hear them. So you'll hear it at the very end. Dolce, sweetly, beautifully played, lyrical. Now that chord is an F chord, F-A-C, but it has a D in the melody, making it an F6 chord. Beautiful chord. Second line. Now listen. Of course, you don't do that when you play it, but you will hear 6/8 time is either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 1, 2, 1, where the dotted quarter note gets 1 beat. That's the cut time of it all. So that's 163. Page 63, or page 175. Let's look at 175. Then we're going to go on to the Essentials book. 175. This is going to be at the end of October also. Page 175. And then we'll stop there. We'll stop at 175. I think I'm not going any further than that. So 175 is a march. That's your left-hand accompaniment. And the right hand simple. Piece of cake, very easy. The melody at the bottom is by Kohler. Kohler's a very famous piano composer. He wrote a lot of things for the piano, elementary too. So for you people who continue into piano 3 and 4, you'll be playing some classical Kohler pieces that really are very famous, but you didn't know, you never heard of Kohler, unfortunately. So he was during the Romantic period, and he was up against the likes of Chopin and Schumann and Tchaikovsky and Liszt, and he couldn't compete. So he didn't make it. But he is published, and this is the way this one sounds. Nice and easy. So that's page 175. That's as far as we're going. I'm going to play Simple Gifts so you can hear Simple Gifts and I can get you started on it. Of course, you're going to be doing it right after it's in this packet where it says Prelude in C major. In this packet, you should find it. Now, the trick is, can I find it? Let's see. Yes, Simple Gifts. It's about the third or fourth page in. I want to explain this to you really, really totally so that you understand everything going on. I want you to be efficient at playing this, but also understanding what it is. You have to play theme and variations, meaning there's a melody. Some of you have obviously heard that because it's actually there is a group called the Shakers, and we'll talk about that another time. But I will play this, and it's their theme song, if you will. There's a Shakers village up in the Berkshires. If you go there through the loudspeakers, you'll hear this melody all the time. But Aaron Copland wrote a beautiful orchestral arrangement of this called Appalachian Springs. If you want to really enjoy a piece, play this a little bit. And after you play it, listen to Appalachian Springs. You'll be glad you did. It's an amazing, amazing piece. Choruses sing this. You may have sung it already in your chorus. So anyway, here's the way this sounds. So first you have chords, and there's only two chords in this piece, F major and C7. So it's F major, then E, G, B flat, C, an inversion of C7, and back to F. Now, get it now because I'm going to say it 100 times. You have to play these fingerings that are there. Exactly, exactly, exactly. And you're not going to like them because they don't feel good initially, but they're the only piano fingerings that exist for this kind of motion. So here's the melody. It keeps doing the same right hand. Look at the fingerings. 1, 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 4, 5. That fits easily. But these fingers you exchange. 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 2, 1. 4, 5, 4, 2, 1. It's a C6 chord. Then this fingering you must learn. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Then you change to 5. So play the melody first many times until you get that perfect. Now, broken chords. The left-hand chords are simply broken now. Measure 19 is Alberti bass, and Alberti bass is, you've heard it 100 times, it's the root, the fifth, the third, the fifth. You've heard this many times, like. Right? You've heard that sound. So Alberti bass here, the left hand is playing the same chords, but Alberti. And so on. There is one trick in the fourth measure instead of, it's backwards. It's to accommodate the right hand thumb, not bumping with the left hand thumb. Bass chord, F chord, preceded by a bass note. C. So now you have a full sound. And so on. Okay? So that gets you started on it. But learn this. Learn the right hand and its fingerings, and at least get these chords. So the week after this, when I see you, we start on this. This is a final, on a final exam. This is one of the pieces on the final. Positively, absolutely. So work very hard on this. And before we go, we're going to look at 122 and 123 in the Essentials book. Scales, just keep practicing the scales. Use the scale sheet from C through A. And after the exam this week, do the B scale. So when I see you the following week, every white key scale has been done. Okay? So, the left hand is so easy. It's just the open fifth. Now, it moves gradually. Measure 20, the A moves to a B flat. Then they both move to C and A. And they both move to B and G. So that's the evolution of it. D and A, D and B flat, D, C and A, B and G. Then when you finish on the next page, the left hand, and you get to the change in measure 31, instead of B and G, it's G and B. Then you stay just where you are and you play F and B flat. And then you go to the fifth again in measure 42. Then it starts to move downward and return home. This is measure 45. 46. And it returns home to where it is. Now, this is typical Bartok. He has a melody repeated and repeated and repeated with different harmonies. So, I'm going to give you a little tour of this, so follow with me. SF, that's sforzando, means hit it very loud. After you hit it, the left hand starts to die down. And you would think you're going to a pianissimo, but it's loud again. Now listen. See? Same melody again with a new harmony. Big surprise, right? B flat. Anytime you see an accidental, there's a surprise. Now, at measure 40, there's a couple of lines there that musicians call, it's a slang term, railroad tracks. And it means stop dead abruptly. So here's measure 9, here's 39. It just stops. And then, now it goes to the key of F in 40, 41. And measure 41 goes to F major. Now it changes. And 51, and soft. Back to where you started. Everything in here is dynamics. So it starts loud. It says staccato, sempre staccato, continually staccato. Look what I'm doing. I'm using my wrist. I'm not doing this. You'll be tired in 10 seconds if you use your arm. Just go. That's all you do. Just use the hinge on your wrist. I'll play it slower so you can follow this. Molto marcato, very loud. Mark out the melody. Interesting piece. Bartok's always interesting. And then, finally, I don't think I'm gonna do this. Maybe I will. Yeah, I'm going to do this. Look at page 94. That's the final thing for October. We'll be starting 94. Look at 94. Easiest piece in the world for the left hand, G and D. That's all it is. It's a fifth. You know, the fifth is not so Western-like. We don't use open chords. It's as a matter of fact, just to give an example, if you use an open fifth and you're playing music from China, for example, those fifths and fourths give you that Oriental feel. But if I play Japanese music, open fifth, those open fifths give you a real sense of the Orient. Then, you also have open fifths in Norwegian music. Open fifths. Irish. Scottish music. We're the only country, really, in the West that actually uses the chord. So yet, guitar players in a rock band will use a power chord, open fifth, and they'll put certain pedals down to distort the sound. And the reason for the open fifth, it allows you to go in and out of major. You can improvise very easily with that power chord. So this open fifth, musette. It's an amusement. Muse is someone who amuses, right? And it's a musette. So it's just a fun piece, dainty, and it sounds like this. You don't have to worry about the left hand. Interesting ending, right? Look at measure 21. You've come from an abrupt stop, another fifth, all right? So, interesting. And you can play all these much slower. I'd be fine with that. So all of that is for the month of October. If you do it right, you'll get a head start on this. If you wait till the last minute to do everything, I don't see good stuff happening. So this is your chance. You have all this in front of you. Just do one thing at a time until you know it, and then look ahead. Always be ahead. Don't be behind. And the scales, as of the 23rd, you'll have played all the white key scales. Starting the 27th, I'll start the black key scales with you. And that's all for now. So I'll see you next week. Have a good weekend.